Can you hear me? What did the Indians used to say? Bumanananga, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
There was a story my mom told us that over in, I think it was Garland, the Indians were all gathered in watching the movie, and one of the Indians expelled some gas, and what did he say? Bumanananga! they did certainly have a sense of humor. Oral history. I think the subject for this is something that is so close to our hearts because of the oral traditions that were passed down. It's like it's still present. And, you know, having our history or our stories and our culture taught through oral history is different. It's more personable. I made a comment to Scott yesterday, you know, our culture, our history is not to be handed to a child in a book. It's got to be voiced. It's got to be seen. And it's got to be heard over and over and over again. For those that are entrusted in passing that information on to the next generation is vitally important. Many things happened in their lives that would cause, you know, if it was just age or a death of a storyteller, was probably one of the most devastating things that could happen to a group of people, because sometimes then the story ends, or someone tries to pick it up and then all of a sudden it might change a little bit. But I think that you could see that with just the cultural elements of who our people are were passed on continually through generations, and that they haven't changed. I think the idea of it hasn't changed. I think technology has made it easier for us to do certain things. In the tradition of the Shoshone people, the stories were told during the winter time. But pretty much that was the time when everybody was gathered in a teepee. The grandparents were there, you know, the parents certainly were there, but the children were there. And the children were the ones that would listen. My mom says that when they were listening, all the kids would be gathered around the elder and they would be telling the stories. And they would often ask, "Are you still listening?" Because the first one that would go to sleep, the story would stop. But then they would pick up again and the story would be repeated again. So the kids always made sure that you stayed awake and that you listened. As far as the massacre, you know, I honor my aunt, my father's sister, May Timbimboo-Madsen, for the work that she has done. Because the technology has changed, she's had the foresight to see that the stories need to be written down, because we were losing those that were there and those that were told the stories firsthand. To sometimes much pressure or thoughts from other tribal members, who does she think she is in doing this? To me, it was a great gift that she gave to us, because the stories aren't being told. And yes, it is easier to pass that book to that child and say, here it is. But to me, it's the emotion that when you're telling those stories, that she was able to gather just not our family, but the 12 other or the 10 other survivors, and wrote their stories down too. I found through the years that at times it's difficult to talk about those people because of what they had to go through. And I think through the years as I grew older and become part of the Cultural Natural Resource program for the tribe, it seemed like every day was what am I going to do with this? How am I going to pass this on? It's my position to preserve, protect the tribe, and also to do that with the stories. And I had a dilemma a couple years back, and we were trying to teach the kids, and how do you teach a child of something that has happened so horrific to their ancestors, and have them come out of it staying still proud of who they are. I think my particular story was shame, that I was ashamed to be an Indian because everybody around me saw me as filthy, less than, that our people murdered people. And how can I tell my granddaughters without them feeling some sense of shame of who they were? And move on. It wasn't you, it wasn't me, it was our relatives. So through that, we've been able to get through some of the bumps with the children that we've had. And I think being more open with them gives them a sense of place, that their ancestors were part of history. But to me, I'm fortunate to have the gift that they have given me to try to help the rest of the world, or the rest of you folks, to see our side, that it was hurtful. But we're still here, and we never left. You know, people would say, "No, there were Indians here." We blended in very well, and sometimes I feel, am I a good Indian? Am I doing okay? Am I contributing to my tribe? But more importantly, am I contributing to the community in which I live, to the state, which is my home and my family's home? And I hope that, that I can do them justice and be able to pass this torch on to somebody else. Because I'm like everybody else, I'm not going to be here forever. And to build those steps that they can, life will be easier for them when I go. The end.